Good afternoon. I think we're back, first of all. That's the good thing. Oh, we're live, finally. Okay. Rumble took a minute. Guys. Do you hear that? It's like a monsoon outside. It's insane. Welcome. I'm sorry I've been away for so long. I know, so it's so hard, and I can't even do it. I can't even get into a groove with the show because there's always something happening in our lives that are causing all kinds of changes and pauses, and it's definitely pouring outside right now. Goodness, happy Wednesday. Somebody tell me they can hear that. Whew. Okay, Sharon is here, and CJP is here, and Hammer O'Justice is here with us in the house. Will is here, and Smith, and Brian, and who else? And Adam's here, and Kaboom Bobby's here, and Tracy's here, and Future Folks here, and Iowa's here, and all of you are here today. Seriously? It's straight up insanity outside right now. I'm getting text messages from family because it is so crazy out there. If for some reason the show disappears, it's because I lost power. I'm not trying to jinx myself. I'm just saying, listen, a lot to talk about today on the show, so I'm just going to get right into it. Before I do, though, I've been talking about this awesome sleep solution that I'm using, and I brought it up with me again today. I gave the wrong email address. I gave the wrong website for it the other day. It is presleep.co/beans. This is amazing. I love it. It's tasty. It works. I always get a nice sound sleep. I'm having a hard time with sleep for a while now. I was stuck in this weird lucid dreaming loop where I couldn't go to sleep. I was lucid dreaming every single night, which is fantastic if you want a lucid dream, which I do. I love lucid dreaming, and I also, love the part of like consciousness it allows you to access that you typically can't. But some nights I want to sleep. So I started taking melatonin, very low dose of melatonin, 3 milligrams of melatonin with some L-theanine, which is amazing. I was doing that for a long time. This is better. So presleep.co. It's clean. I saw their testing certificate. This is the shit right here. I'm just saying. So anyway, comes with a little scoop. See? It's good stuff. Here's the deal. We have a lot to talk about. So we're going to get right into it. I wanted to start off on a light note today. This is really cute.
Let me tell you. Wait, listen. Just listen. I have to have at least $36 to get refills, drinks.
You figure how many hours you need to work to make that.
Yeah, I know. Wait, I know what to do.
And don't forget, bring extra funds just in case she wants something special. Maybe she'll want to play a game when she gets there. Might win an animal or something.
Oh my God! How much are games?
Okay.
So I did the math here. 5. I have 5 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have to work 3 hours each day to get $7. 3 times 7 is 21. What? Oh my God! Oh my God! What is wrong with me? No, I just realized something. I told her that we could go to the calf cream after the movie.
How you gonna pay for ice cream, Wyatt?
You're so dumb. Let me tell you. Wait, listen. Just listen.
It's so cute. This would be William. It would totally be my son. Yeah. Just want to start off with something lighthearted and nice. So, while I was down in Florida, this happened. This is Carolina Forest, which is approximately 25 minutes from where I live in Myrtle Beach. Wildfires broke out. And They've been doing controlled burns to stop this from happening because it's been overwhelmingly dry. And so this broke out, and I have to say the difference between this and what happened in California is jaw-dropping. Not only did we have access to water, which is always helpful when trying to contain wildfires, but the first responders here are absolutely, not that the way the government handled it is what I should be saying, has been it's been amazing. Not one death, not one structure has been lost to this absolutely ravaging wildfire that is still only 30% contained and now is somewhere up around 2,700 acres. I have a bunch of video on this for you so you can see what was going on and how the firemen were taking care of this. This was happening while I was not here, and it's still happening. When we were driving home, we could smell this. Our eyes were bored. We have air alerts and everything else. Right now, as you can tell, it is absolutely pouring outside, but they're saying that they don't think that will really help. This was so cool. Let me shut off the sound. Here is a chopper filling up their water bucket in one of the many areas of water here at the beach, to then go ahead and disperse this over the fires. We've seen a lot of this here. This was March 3rd. Even if the fire's contained, it's still burning. So you can see this is basically the area of the Carolina Forest fires. Carolina Forest is a section of Myrtle Beach. So here, as of March 3rd, which was 2 days ago, it was 2,059 acres and 30% contained. Hold on. Bear with me. Help. Hey. Okay. I'm streaming my show live right now. Can you call Dad? That's okay. Thank you. Love you too. That was my son. My son never calls me, and with the weather the way it is and the schools the way they are, I'm picking that damn call up. I'm so sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt my whole show. Will, your son's gonna call you and ask you to pick him up from school early. Anyway, 2,059 acres and 30% contained as of March 3rd. And here is the dump. If you watch this, it's a military chopper dumping water over this fire, which is perilously close to homes. Again, praise God, not one structure or person lost to this fire so far. And it came perilously close. There was siding melted off of everybody's houses. And these are people that, these are my neighbors. Here is a thank you to our first responders from here at the beach. They had food. They were helping them out. Lots of water, stuff for them to keep them fed. They're working so hard. God bless them all. It's been, I'll keep everybody posted on it. But again, they were doing controlled burns this week to try and stop this from happening. And just somebody in Carolina Forest was doing a burn, which is legal here normally and is illegal here right now. The burn, it was so windy, the burn embers lit the woods on fire. And now, a lot of people were posting like, oh, this is nature's way. And yes, I agree. This is what Mother Earth does. I understand. But unfortunately, people live there. People live there. So you got the call. Will says he got the call. I don't know if Will's going to be planning on going to pick up our son early because they're going to hold the buses back, William said. Sorry about that. I'm a mom first. Before anything else, I'm a mom. God agrees. What a day so far. What a day. So, one more interesting thing before we get into the speech that rocked the world yesterday, which was amazing. I found this so interesting. And it's another God thing, which is going to be a theme today. God is going to be a theme in the show today. I'm going to show you all of it. This is called the sweaty t-shirt experiment. This is going to blow your mind. Here we go.
Research that's become known as the sweaty t-shirt study to understand why women's sense of smell is so much stronger than men's. Women can smell about 7 times more than men. Got a bunch of guys who were deficient in one part of their immune response, and then a bunch of women who were also deficient in one part. The immune response, it's called histocompatibility index. And let's say it has 5 elements. So they would find a bunch of guys who were low in 1 or 2 or number 3 or number 4, whatever, and women who had the same different deficiencies. The hypothesis was that a woman who's low in factor 3 won't be attracted to men who are low in factor 3. They'll be attracted to men who are high in factor 3 because then the babies will be healthy, right?
Right.
So he gets these guys to wear t-shirts for 3 days and nights with no deodorant, no showers, no soap, nothing, then puts the t-shirts in plastic bags. Then he has the women smell the bags and mark on a piece of paper how attractive they thought the men were, based only on the smell of the t-shirt. And he found that with 80% of the women, they chose as he predicted, that they chose the men high in the thing that they were low in, and they avoided the men who were low in the thing that they were low in. But in about 20%, they seemed to be choosing randomly. So he went back and looked at the women again and found that those 20% were on birth control pills. A lot of marriages are falling apart because they got together when the woman couldn't smell his compatibility, and it's not his fault.
Shit.
Where we ignore these natural reflexes to our detriment.
How crazy is that? Now, I don't know if I go along, I didn't hear the rest of the part about like compatibility, but I could tell you if a man smells good, like he smells good, there has to be, like, not with cologne and freaking all that crap. My ability to smell is much worse than Will's ability to smell as well, Brian. Someone in the chat says, my ability to smell is much better than my wife's. What does that say? I don't know what that means in terms of hormones and pheromones, I'm sorry. Can you pick up pheromones? CJP says he smells like spaghetti sauce. Listen, if you want to smell like tomatoes, that's up to you, sir. That's up to you. I'm sure there's a woman out there who really needs those tomatoes and will come running for you if they haven't already. Tracy says, there have been people in my past that I couldn't stand the smell of. I agree. There are some people that they smell like, I don't know, like you're like, Incompatibility as per this guest on Joe Rogan. I thought that was so interesting. Now, yes, I know it's Sandy. I know. But I want to play this for you. Just listen to this. Listen.
The one thing that I want people to think about is, even as a waitress, if any of you all else have gone like completely mad with every single job being a tipped job with an iPad screen now, like especially during COVID. I mean, it's even to the point where the freaking self-checkouts at the airport get tip screens. If you are tired of that.
Can I pause this for a second? This is really bothering me. I have 150 people watching on Rumble. That's what it says. Let me see something. I gotta pin it. Right now. A fair amount on X. More than that. Probably a bunch more on the other platforms. Why does this chick have 18,000 people watching her? I just wanted to put that out there. Like, am I that bad? Am I that bad?
I do think it's important for us to recognize the danger of every job becoming a tipped job. And all of us then now having to pay each other's wages, not just in waitressing, not just in bartending. I'm talking about everything. And I think it's just a precipice that we all need to think about, because it's not, there's a very careful and slippery slope here that we just need to pause and consider?
Yeah, I did. I stopped for a second and I said, hey, AOC, you know what? I think you might have a point here. Listen to me. Just hear me out. What if companies started paying their employees just minimum wage and then reported the difference as tip income, as tips? What if instead of your employer reporting your wages as all salaried wages, they paid you minimum wage and reported the difference as tipped income? Like, there shouldn't be any income tax. And I keep saying this. If Trump successfully removes the income tax, which any Republican would be stupid to go against, especially at this point, it will never come back. It will never come back. And then we will just, and then we could move to Florida where there won't be any property tax or income tax or federal tax. And the only real, quote, tax you'd pay is tax on your purchases. And it would be like an actual free market economy. What if your employers just started paying you minimum wage and made the rest tips so that you didn't have to pay taxes on it? You know what? Sandy, you got me thinking. That's where I ended up with it, at least for now. And then we have these idiots. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know that most Canadians that at least that watch the show, and there are a few, aren't this way, but
Canadians are not angry at the American people for this. We don't have anything against Americans. Americans are our neighbors, our friends, our partners. We do things together. We've done things together for decades and generations. This is a policy decision by the American government designed to go after the Canadian economy. This is a trade war, yes. But Canadians are hurt. Canadians are angry. We're going to choose to not go on vacation in Florida or Old Orchard Beach or wherever. We're going to choose to try to buy Canadian products and forego bourbon and other classic American products. And yeah, we're probably going to keep booing the American anthem. But let me tell Americans, we're not booing you. We're not booing your teams. We're not booing your players.
this is a cheap way for him to try to pander to us to make us say, see, it's our leadership that's the problem. What a frickin', right out of my husband's mouth. He said it best. That man smells like beef. Love it. He said, this clown is such a word that I'm not going to say on the air. Spar to the P.
We're booing a policy that is designed to hurt us. And we're insulted. And we're angry. But we're Canadian, which means we're going to stand up for each other. We're going to fight.
And he's so lost. He's so lost. And I'm going to play another one because we had Viva on the show and I asked him about Pola, whatever. Okay. And he gave me his answer about him. And they had King Charles like dressed up in some Canadian military uniform, like sending a strong signal to the United States between what happened with the Ukraine, which happened on Friday, and I didn't get to cover on any of my shows, and all of that coming out. I said, let me play Pierre, and then I'll go into what I said, because a lot of what this dude said, like, put Canada first. That's fine. Great.
President Trump stabbed America's best friend in the back. My message to the president is this: Canada will fight back. We will defend our people and our economy, and we will put Canada first. There is no doubt that our economy will suffer, but so will yours, President Trump. In fact, You're already paying the price, with trillions of dollars erased in stock market value over the last month of these threats. Already, Americans are paying higher gas prices, as at midnight, a new American gas tax kicked in on U.S. working class taxpayers and motorists.
We don't need Canadian politicians acting like Democrats trying to campaign against our leaders and trying to paint us the victim. Most of America, Trump was honest about it last night. We can take it. We'll take a little bit of suffering in the beginning. What's really going to start to happen now? Intelligence. You need our intelligence that we've gathered all over the world. Oh, just like with Ukraine, we'll pull it back. Oh, you need our military because your militaries are terrible? Oh, I'm so sorry. We're home protecting ourselves. Oh, you're paying an equal tariff on products that you have basically stolen from us for the past however long? Oh, isn't that so sad? Pull it all back. Isolationism at this point. Seriously. Isolationism at this point. And let's see what happens to the rest of these big talkers out there. And Adam sent me a clip that really, really just hammered it home for me. This is so funny.
You win? You have a problem with that? You know what you should do? You should sanction me. Sanction me with your army. Oh, wait a minute. You don't have an army. I guess that means you need to shut the fuck up. That's what I do if I don't have no army. I would fuck up. Shut the fuck up. That's right. You win? You have a problem.
Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle says it right. Oh, you don't have an army?
That's what I do if I don't have no army. I would fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Just pull it back. Pull it all back. Pull it all back. Pull it all back. Every last bit of it. Okay. You want to talk big? Let's see what happens now when you've got literally nothing. Just pull it back one at a time. Just one at a time. One little thing, let them suffer a little bit and see how they turn around. Pull another little thing back. We could use it. We can make everything here. I don't need soy. My beef can be raised on my own ground in my own land that I can buy from local ranchers. I can kick my HOA out and raise my own chickens and get my own eggs. We'll do it. It has to be done. It has to be done. So, with that being said, let's shift a little bit. Before the address last night, the Democrats went out on some very odd, weird propaganda campaign trying to appeal to Gen Z with their little handheld mic saying the same thing.
The Democrats, they all put out the same video. First of all, people play it like, was this an accident? Or was this some kind of misdirection? No, they're all putting out the same video on purpose. They're trying to show that they're in lockstep. Okay? Now, why? Because that's what worked well for the Republicans. Listen, you can't play Trump's game and beat him or his team. They are the party of grievance. They are the owners of it's broken, it's bad, it's worse, I don't like it, I want to disrupt it, I want to destroy it.
Actually, I disagree with that assessment wholeheartedly. We are the party of making America great again and fixing all the stuff that you and your ilk have caused. But look at this. This was literally the Democrats yesterday. I think 23 of them.
When I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one.
Reading a script, trying to be edgy with their little curse words, holding their little microphones up in front of them like they're on a TikTok, making reels with the captions, and they're all the same. It was so pathetic, and it led right up to this last night. The Democrats last night, I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think it was possible that we would ever see in our lifetimes the absolute catastrophic destruction of the Democrat Party. They are rudderless, powerless, completely useless right now. Nothing they do is landing. Nothing they do is landing with the public writ large. And they really thought that this was going to be a good idea.
We won the popular vote by big numbers and won counties in our country.
And he gets kicked out. Sergeant at Arms called by called by the speaker, and he gets kicked out. So let's play some clips from yesterday.
And I also have a...
They couldn't stand up and clap for young cancer patients who were surviving through it. They couldn't stand up and clap for a safer border. They couldn't stand up and show respect to moms who lost their children at the hands of illegal immigrants. They didn't stand up and show respect for one Democrat for DJ, which we're going to go through. But I've got clips here.
A message tonight for the incredible people of Greenland. We strongly support your right to determine your own future. And if you choose, we welcome you into the United States of America. We need Greenland for national security and even international security, and we're working with everybody involved to try and get it. But we need it really for international world security, and I think we're going to get it one way.
He's talking about Greenland like it's a property that he needs in a casino empire. If it's not going to be Canada, I mean, I guess Greenland, right? Why not Greenland?
One way or the other, we're going to get it. We will keep you safe. We will make you rich, and together we will take Greenland to heights like you have never thought possible before. It's a very small population, but very, very large piece of land and very, very important for military security.
I mean, it's Greenland. It's Greenland. And then there's this continuation of Mr. Green. Here we go. The graininess is my internet, by the way. Probably weather related.
We won the popular vote by big numbers and won counties in our country.
Because nothing says awesome like a bunch of whiny babies screaming at the top of their lungs. They've got their little bingo signs. Up here.
And I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do. I could find a cure to the most devastating disease, a disease that would wipe out entire nations, or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history, or the stoppage of crime to the lowest levels ever recorded. And these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it, no matter what. Five times I've been up here. It's very sad, and it just shouldn't be this way.
Thank you for highlighting that, as all these women are in pink to support women while they also support men beating the living daylights out of women when they're playing sports together.
Corey was taken from us much too soon, but his destiny was to leave us all with a shining example of the selfless devotion of a true American patriot. It was love like Corey's that built our country, and it's love like Corey's that is going to make our country more majestic than ever before. I believe that my life was saved that day in Butler for a very good reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. I believe that.
So do I. It's like that was the shining moment. That was the moment where everything changed. Everything changed. Think about it. We were all watching. He moved his head the very last second. Just a fraction. And the world changed forever. God. That's God. Oh. And it appears that we also have a little bit of a change.
Earlier today, I received an important letter from President Zelensky of Ukraine. The letter reads, Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than the Ukrainians, he said. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. We do really value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence. Regarding the agreement on minerals and security, Ukraine is ready to sign it at any time that is convenient for you. I appreciate that he sent this letter, just got it a little while ago. Simultaneously, we've had serious discussions with Russia and have received strong signals that they are ready for peace. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't that be beautiful?
This is disgusting. You're in America. You're in America. For goodness sakes.
Wouldn't that be beautiful? It's time to stop this madness. It's time to halt the killing. It's time to end this senseless war. If you want to end wars, you have to talk to both sides.
Amen. Now all of a sudden, I don't trust the guy as far as I can throw him, honestly. Oh.
Administration will be reclaiming the Panama Canal, and we've already started doing it. Just today, a large American company announced they are buying both ports around the Panama Canal and lots of other things having to...
I mean, the Panama Canal captured the top terrorist behind Abbey Gate. We're going to start building ships again. This was beautiful. We're going to skip that for now, though. Mandatory death penalty for cop killers. That always... I'll skip. I'm not going to say what I feel. Wildlife refuge renamed for Jocelyn, the little girl who was killed at the hands of an illegal immigrant. If you don't make it in America, you're going to pay a tariff for it. Congress must pass tax cuts for every American.
To pass tax cuts for everybody. They're in there. They're waiting for you to vote. And I'm sure that the people on my right, I don't mean the Republican right, but my right here, I'm sure you're going to vote for those tax cuts, because otherwise I don't believe the people will ever vote you into office. So I'm doing you a big favor by telling you.
It's so true. And then this
dollars to improve the...
This one is one that I think every single American listened to with their mouth hanging open.
The social and economic inclusion of sedentary migrants. Nobody knows what that is. $8 million to promote LGBTQI+ in the African nation of Lesotho, which nobody has ever heard of. $60 million for indigenous peoples and Afro-Colombian empowerment in Central America. $60 million.
And he went through a whole bunch more. And Let's talk about Al Green for a second. This is CNN.
During the course of the event, which is wanting to get reaction on Congressman Al Green's antics and being ejected. 80% of speech watchers said that the Democratic congressman's interrupting of Trump's speech was inappropriate. Only 20% of speech watchers thought what Green did was appropriate, Aaron.
Civility coming back by chance? Civility coming back? We're going to listen to some Jennings because you can't not listen to Jennings.
More efficient. But what Musk is doing seems much more indiscriminate. And I think that's what people,
Yeah, and guess what? Republicans love it. And I will just say, I think the Democrats...
Guess what? The country's bigger than just Republicans.
I know. Well, he's got over a 50% approval rating, and your party's got 21%. So he's doing okay. I think dying on this hill of defending every single federal worker, that the idea that we can't ever shrink the size of government because this sob story or that sob story, that is not going to play with the American people. Democrats gave no care whatsoever to the 10,000 people who lost their jobs when the big pipeline was canceled by Joe Biden, or the people who lost their businesses in the COVID shutdowns that went on and on and on, or the firefighters or the military that lost their jobs because they wouldn't get the COVID vaccine. No care for that. But care for government workers.
I don't want to have a part. You can take this on another show. I don't want to have a partisan debate about it, but we should note that there were 16 million jobs created when Biden was president, and jobs were lost when Trump was president.
Okay.
So,
and you know how dishonest that is because of what happened at the end of COVID and the restoration.
Yes, Gigi is saying, let's remember Nancy Pelosi ripping up Trump's speech. 100%. That was disgusting. That was just the beginning.
Horrific night for the opposition party, regardless of how well she just spoke. It started out with Al Green getting thrown off the House floor because he couldn't keep his emotions under control. Then they had the ridiculous paddles, which now social media is roasting.
That you said false on one side and
ridiculous.
Elon on
and
the
then
other.
finally, and maybe most terribly, the Democrats who couldn't find it in their heart to stand for objectively good things, including the 95-year-old mother of Mark Fogel and Mark, who got rescued from a Russian prison, and they couldn't even stand up for that. I thought Democrats came into this speech lost and defeated by Donald Trump, and today it looks to me like they're even more lost and even more defeated than when this speech started.
Amen. They sure are.
Yeah, but
how they gonna stab your back, Michael, when they holding up bingo or auction signs?
I was gonna say, thank you, Simone.
Can we talk about it?
The bingo signs were killing me. I don't know who thought up the bingo signs, but they should be fired.
Michael,
Nobody liked it. Nobody liked any of this. Nobody liked any of it. And listen carefully to this one. Listen carefully to this one, because this is an elitist type journalist telegraphing to you something very, 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 very important here.
So I've learned to be humble about analyzing speeches like this because the country often catches on to things that those of us in Washington might not sift the way the country does. When the president listed things that he thought were extravagant examples of wasteful spending, those of us around this table might say, well, that's not going to be enough, even if you cut all that to balance the budget, which is $840 billion out of balance. But Americans will hear it and say, wait a minute, those things sound wasteful to me. Sounds like Elon Musk and the president are on to something.
Yeah.
There was also tremendous emotive power in several parts of the speech that I think will resonate across the country. Whether it's Laken Riley slain, her mother and sister, or Mark and his mother, Malphine Fogel, rescued or brought back from Russia, or a Border Patrol agent, Roberto Ortiz, or Stephanie Diller, the surviving spouse of a slain New York City police officer. Those things carry emotional weight, not only in the moment, but probably inevitably in the pass-around social media dissection of this speech.
Which is where you get all your talking points from. That speech last night was such a return to normalcy that it was just amazing to listen to normalcy again after being absolutely pounded by garbage and insanity for what feels like centuries. We had things like this.
Our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
most beautiful moment. I'm in tears right now just thinking about it. This 13-year-old boy who has no bigger dream in the world than being a police officer at the age of 5, given 5 months to live, because he had brain cancer. And this pivoted everything for me in a completely different direction. And it reminded me why the hell I'm working for what I'm like, why I'm so passionate and filled with drive and determination in my quest with Maha. Because of course there's always going to be illness. We're never going to eradicate it completely. But if this were any other good reason to Maha, it pivoted so nicely to RFK and the childhood autism epidemic and the childhood cancer epidemic and childhood health in general. And right after this, we got this crazy crap.
But I think this was a lesson in finding one thing that you let yourself feel. And I let myself feel joy about DJ. And I hope he's alive for another, 95 years, right? And I hope he lives and the life he wants to live. He wants to be a cop. He knows what he wants to do. And maybe when you have childhood cancer, that crystallizes for you. And I hope he has a long life as a law enforcement officer. But I hope he never has to defend the United States Capitol against Donald Trump's supporters. And if he does, I hope he isn't one of the 6 who loses his life to suicide. And I hope he isn't one who has to testify against the people who carried out acts of seditious conspiracy and then live to see Donald Trump pardon those people.
I got this out of it, not that. I got this.
But you wanna know the craziest part? Because my mom bathes me and my brothers all together. And out of nowhere, I locked up, and then my dad was calling my name, and I started going to the slow thing, and he said, "Stop playing with me." And I started to act, I ain't gonna lie, I started to act slow, and then as soon as he said that, we was speeding all the way, running lights, going to the hospital. And then next thing you know, I was seizing on the table. They said, "No, we gonna have to go in his brain tonight." Ever since then, I had 13 brain surgeries, and that's how many times my personality has changed. And that's something that you don't hear from a terminally ill child. They had 5 months to live.
Listen.
I'm gonna keep on going until my gas tanks run out. And that's when God calls you home. You never know when God's gonna call you home. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my dad. I know he's pretty proud of me, and I'm pretty proud of him too. And I'd like to thank President Trump, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today.
What an amazing young man. He's an amazing young man. Listen.
Don't believe in God anymore?
That isn't something for you to worry about.
Did you know that if gravity were slightly more powerful, the universe would collapse into a ball?
I did not.
Also, if gravity were slightly less powerful, the universe would fly apart and there'd be no stars or planets.
Where are you going with this, Sheldon?
It's just that gravity is precisely as strong as it needs to be. And if the ratio of the electromagnetic force to the strong force wasn't 1%, life wouldn't exist. What are the odds that would happen all by itself?
Why are you trying to convince me to believe in God?
The precision of the universe at least makes it logical to conclude there's a creator. There are 5 billion people on this planet, and you're the perfect mom for me. What are the odds of that?
If you didn't understand why it's so important to Maha, let this be your understanding. We must do better for this sweet boy and so many like them. Health isn't partisan. When we're healthy in mind and body, we connect to God so strongly the entire world will change. God bless this little man. What a light for the world. What a light for the world that little guy is. And it brings me to the next topic for today, which is Jay Bhattacharya being confirmed today, or sitting in his confirmation hearing today, and the release of the first Maha podcast yesterday. Del Bigtree and Robert Redfield. And I want you to listen to this segment. It's a little long, but it's worth every second. And if you can, watch the whole show, whether you like the dude or not. Redfield.
Have you looked at the childhood?
No, I have not.
Schedule at all?
No. I mean, I have. I mean, the schedule historically, but I haven't really studied it in recent times.
So it's fair to say that the guy that was head of CDC, who's in charge of the recommended schedule for children's vaccines, but none were added. I mean, I guess COVID was, but not during your
but
tenure.
I didn't agree with that.
You didn't agree with it.
And I don't agree with it now.
So if it's not being added, like where is, before I get in this, as you step into CDC, we think of CDC really as that childhood schedule is a huge part of it, but it's not really on your radar.
No, it's really on that vaccine advisory group that you talked about that you went to. Which I have CDC people on.
Yeah.
Okay. The vaccine advisory group that he's talking about is abbreviated as ACIP, A-C-I-P. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is there was an op-ed put out by RFK on Fox, and we can debate whether he wrote it or didn't write it and the subheads and blah, 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 and, how he could possibly say that people should go out and get MMR when that's the vaccine we're going to talk about here in just a second. It might go a little over today, so just bear with me. But ACIP has a meeting. They make their determinations about what vaccines they're going to push onto people and how many more doses they need and what blah, 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 flu and everything else and all of them. And there's a period of public comment. Nobody ever watches those. I've watched several of them when they happen. They're frustrating as all get out. RFK canceled that meeting. It's not happening. There will be no recommendations coming forward from ACIP to do what Redfield's saying right now. He also canceled the Wild to Mild campaign for the flu vaccine. He also canceled the meeting on flu vaccine, which means they weren't going to be able to, they can't really figure out which strain they want to push into your arm this next year. So while it's easy to get really frustrated with what you read, even though there was such a huge focus on nutraceutical holistic treatment for measles, which we're going to get into in a second, I didn't see people cheerleading the cancellation of ACIP. I just saw people yelling and screaming about the measles vaccine, which I guarantee you I am all on board with that. I didn't think it was even necessary to mention it. It was frustrating. But there are still good things happening. Here we go.
But that's really the group that, and they also have, as you know, the American Academy of Pediatrics on it. And if they were to change recommendations, that would come up to my desk, to review.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if something, if something has to be readjusted, something added, it gets kicked to you.
It would get kicked up for review. But in general, that vaccine committee is a pretty powerful committee when it comes to vaccine policy in the United States.
Canceled. I just want to make sure everybody's hearing that. Canceled under RFK.
I'm going to throw something at you here. I've just pulled up on my computer. This is the Recombavax HPV vaccine.
Which vaccine?
The hepatitis B vaccine, which you have some understanding of hepatitis B. You said you worked on that. This is given to day one old babies, and I just want you to read out loud. This is the FDA's website, 6.1 clinical trial experience.
He says day one old babies, but really technically it's hours old babies, but day one makes sense too. Just want to.
Because clinical trials are conducted under a variety of varying conditions, adverse rates observed in the clinical trials of vaccine cannot be directly compared to rates in clinical trials of another vaccine and may not reflect the rates observed in practice. How far do you want me to go?
I want to just read into how they came to the safety on this product.
This is 3 clinical studies. 434 doses for Recombavax at 5 micrograms were administered to 147 healthy infants and children up to the age of 10. They were monitored for 5 days after each dose. This is what we talked about. How many people, how long. Okay. And adverse reactions were reported at 0.2% and 10.4 of injections respectively. So systemics was 0.2 and the injection site was 10%.
So that's enough. I mean, I just really want to get to no placebo group.
No placebo
There's
group.
no placebo group, 147 children, and a 5-day safety review. There's 2 products like this. The other, hepatitis B, I could show you, has a 4-day safety review period. This is a product given to day 1 old babies.
Yeah.
Did they establish safety? Is there any way on earth to establish safety of a product in a 5-day safety review
I
with
wouldn't,
no placebo?
I wouldn't come to that conclusion. All right. I suspect what they've done by the committee is that the FDA's.
That's the FDA.
Yeah.
This is the insert that comes with the vaccine.
Yeah.
This is what they're bragging.
The FDA.
This is how we decided
the FDA, probably extrapolated, whether that's appropriate or not, we can argue. That data that they had from adults and adolescents. Okay, I'm not a big advocate that the hepatitis V vaccine is a vaccine that is really needs to be prioritized for newborns. I'd rather see that vaccine as a vaccine along with the human papillomavirus vaccine that we consider for 10, 11, 12, 15-year-olds.
Yeah.
But no, I would not say that establishes it. It basically just builds on the fact that they had this adult data. And I'm actually relatively surprised that then they would change the indication. So I don't know what the indication was before, but say the indication was the vaccine was approved for people over the age of 2 or over the age of 5. I'm surprised that based on that limited data, they now said it's approved for people, what did you say, how many days old?
1.
How do you not know that? Dude.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
There's like in California.
The other side
I've
of-
gotten calls, just so you know, from people that have watched our work. I get called from the hospitals in California. I'm trying to leave the hospital having given birth, and they're being threatened that they're going to call Child Protective Services.
If you don't let them have the vaccine.
If they don't give this vaccine to their babies.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
So then...
See, I don't agree with any of the heavy-handed approach to vaccines.
Right.
And all I think they do is accentuate hesitancy and lack of public trust. I'm a public health person, and I have a lot of patients I've talked about vaccines. And I don't badger them when they say no. I make the argument why I think it's to their advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And when they say no, so be it. When they come back, I have the discussion again, so be it. I've argued that doctors need to spend more time educating people about why they think that vaccine's of benefit to them, and not badgering people, threatening people. What happened with COVID was so wrong. So I would not, if you had asked me to weigh in on whether 1-year-olds should get the hepatitis B vaccine, I'm not a big advocate of that. Now, if we were in Southeast Asia and the mother that just gave birth to that baby had E antigen positivity, and that baby was high risk for hepatitis B infection, I may say, hey, let's get that kid vaccinated, okay? Because there's good data that they'll be less likely to become a chronic carrier. But in America, and the mother's not hepatitis B positive.
I mean, we're testing her. We already know. And the only risk would be the mom's body.
I don't see it.
Yeah, you don't see it now. So, we had Dr. Bhattacharya today for NIH.
Will establish a culture of respect for free speech in science and scientific dissent at the NIH. Over the last few years, top NIH officials oversaw a culture of cover-up, obfuscation, and a lack of tolerance for ideas that differed from theirs. Dissent is the very essence of science. I'll foster a culture where NIH leadership will actively encourage different perspectives and create an environment where scientists, including early career scientists and scientists that disagree with me, can express disagreement respectfully.
He had a great opening statement. I just want to play this before we get into the next thing.
From school. They sent me home. Measles. It's either measles or a strange case of red freckles. You have got a temperature. They told me 101.1. What's the record?
Never mind. Oh, are you sure it's the measles?
Well, he certainly got all the symptoms. A slight temperature, a lot of dots, and a great big smile.
A great big smile.
No school for a few days.
Say hello to my dotted son for me. Tell him I'll bring him some comic books and I'll see you later, dear.
Okay, honey, bye. Boy, this is the life, isn't it?
Yeah. If you have to get sick,
Sure can't beat the measles. That's right. No medicine. Inside or out. Like shots, I mean. Don't even mention shots. Yeah.
Dad says I should go to school.
7 students confirmed with measles, 4 others possible.
How? They had to have been vaccinated. These moms never vaccinated their kids and lied about it. Vaccines are harmful. You are endangering the health of every child in this city. Liv, no is turning blue. Call 911.
You see the difference? Do we see the difference? Now, let's listen to Cassidy today, okay? Let's listen to Cassidy. This exchange, I don't agree with Dr. Bhattacharya or Dr. Cassidy on this, all right? Just listen. Listen to this. Listen to this.
Thank you, sir. I'll start with questionings. One thing that's been a real topic has been the issue of measles vaccines and autism. And we can see that the false article in Lancet decades ago has led to a lot of people not getting their child vaccinated. There's now a child who died from a vaccine-preventable disease in Texas.
Okay. No. I've seen many reports now from enough sources that I'm comfortable sharing that that's probably not the case. This child didn't have measles. The child, as per Dr. Early, who says they spoke to a whistleblower and also the child's parents, this child didn't have measles when they passed away. But why not weaponize the death of this child? Not the vaccine injured deaths. Leave those on the side. Those don't matter. When somebody dies of vaccine, put them on the side. The RSV pneumonia non-measles death, that we're going to use for our propaganda campaign that's about to launch right now.
Let me repeat that. A child who died from a vaccine-preventable disease in Texas. The secretary has put out an editorial, which is, if you just read it, the kind of understanding of it is that you should get vaccinated. I've been told that you have said that we need to invest NIH resources at looking at the link, a possible link between measles vaccine and autism. I've not heard that directly. It's hearsay. Any comment on that?
Senator, it's a tragedy that a child would die from a vaccine-preventable disease. I fully support children being vaccinated for diseases like measles that can be prevented with the vaccination efforts. As far as research on autism and vaccines, I don't generally believe that there is a link, and based on my reading of the literature. But what I have seen is that there's tremendous distrust in medicine and science coming out of the pandemic. And we do have, as you know, Senator, a sharp rise in autism rates in this country.
The literature for the vaccine autism connection is bunk crap.
And I don't know, and I don't think any scientist really knows the cause of it. So I would support an agenda of a broad scientific agenda based on data to get an answer to that.
But this has been fairly well, in fact, it's been exhaustively studied. And there's limited resources. And if we keep plowing over ground that has been plowed over, knowing you can never prove a negative, and since we don't know the cause, we'll still have a problem. We've got a responsibility with limited resources. How do we address those things that we don't know the cause for, or that can ameliorate those things that are related to this crisis of chronic disease? My state, by the way, is terribly affected by chronic disease, so I'm totally with you on that. But what I want to make sure is there's an appropriate use. So again, just going back to, do you have an idea, an agenda that would once more, by golly, once more, prove that measles vaccine is not associated with autism, neither the schedule, the vaccine, or anything else associated with it? Because my concern is the more we pretend like this is an issue, the more we will have children dying from vaccine-preventable diseases.
Senator, I guess I've turned it around and say don't want to disprove a negative. That's impossible, really. But I want to address the rise in autism that we have seen.
I accept that. I think that's laudable.
Yeah.
We need to do that.
Yeah, that's a positive.
But I'm asking the specific question: will we once more have to go back over this particular issue, because that has been exhaustively studied?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as I said, Senator, I don't think that there's a link between the MMR vaccine and autism. I'm convinced based on that literature. The only reason I'm not wholeheartedly saying yes to your question, which every instinct of mine is to do that, is that there are people who might disagree with me. I want to
But that's life.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people who disagree that the world is round. That's true. And I say that not to minimize these concerns.
Yeah.
But people still think Elvis is alive. And so if you just say someone disagrees with me, so therefore I'm going to put precious limited taxpayer dollars to...
Oh, please. Stop studying whether or not rats should be trans and use that money to figure out if there's actually... Do good science to figure out if there's actually really a connection between MMR or any other vaccination and autism. Vaccinations cause inflammation. You are injecting chemicals and toxins into a baby, and those toxins, some of which cross the blood-brain barrier, cause inflammation that could definitely, absolutely, and I could get into a whole big thing about how, yeah, there is absolutely a link. Talk to any a parent of an autistic child who has gone down this rabbit hole to try and figure out what happened to their very healthy baby after vaccination, who then lost the light in their eyes and had a problem. It's the same things. Data Republican had posted an article underneath about two twins. Both of them ended up with autism, one worse than the other. And one of them had a viral infection or a bacterial infection and a heart surgery, and the other one didn't. And that one who did have those issues had a more serious autistic presentment, for lack of a better word. And when your immune system is engaged and you've also had a surgery and your body is just on patrol, plus it's dealing with toxins and chemicals, it's inflammation. So Dr. Cassidy, with all due respect, you are wildly misinformed.
To this and not to addressing issues of obesity, heart disease, cancer. We've lost, there's an opportunity cost there. You're the economist. What am I doing talking about opportunity cost? So I'm pressing you on this because I think that kind of is a framework. If just because somebody is upset about something, do we have the opportunity cost of devoting resources at something which has already been...
It's not somebody. It's millions and millions of parents with autistic children.
Pretty well examined.
I mean, I guess, yes, you're absolutely right, Senator. We don't need to address every idea that or concern. But if those concerns result in parents not wanting to vaccinate their children for a vaccine that is well-tested, my sense is that my inclination is to give people good data. That's how you address those.
But we have good data already.
But I'm not quite sure at what endpoint we say we've got good data, because.
I mean, I'm convinced that we have good data on MMR and autism. But if other people don't agree with me and then they don't vaccinate their children, do the studies right.
Just Doctor wants to do the right thing here. He really does. He wants a actual good study, so that either it can be yay or nay. We all know what it's going to be.
If I'm confirmed as NIH director, the one lever I'll have is to give them good data. That's really the lever I'd have.
But that good data already exists. You're a scientist and you accept that. It seems more an endorsement with an appropriate allocation of current dollars would be a better way to spend precious, limited federal.
Like, you care about federal funds, Cassidy, please. And then there was the right way to approach this. Senator Rand Paul, also a doctor. Here we go.
We talked about precious resources, and we say, well, gosh, we can't study autism or any, we're done with vaccines. The problem with that is there is a great deal of vaccine hesitancy, and there does need to be convincing. It doesn't mean we need 99% of the NIH budget on autism and vaccines, but certainly I think we have room to have another study to try to convince those who are hesitant. We ought to look at populations of people who take no vaccines, the Amish and others, and try to compare them in a scientific way to those who do and see if we can learn something from that. But one way to have more precious resources directed towards good science is to get rid of the frivolous studies. William Proxmire started talking about this in the 70s. I've been talking about this for a dozen years. This is from the NIH, 2.1 million studying whether or not when you're at the Luby's cafeteria.
When you're at the Luby's cafeteria, you act more upset when you eat one thing or the other. Listen, take that money and put it towards the autism study so that we have people who finally have answers to these questions. Just do that study. Do that one study. The unvaccinated autism rates versus the vaccinated. It's been done. Do it again. Show it again. Take 50,000 unvaccinated children and their chronic health issues and compare it against the vaccinated cohort. And you tell me what you find. That would be the end of it all. What is he going to say? What is Cassidy going to say? Big problem. So, that's the show for today. You got an extra 8 minutes out of my butt. We're going to be back tomorrow. Nobody miss it. Hit the thumbs up button. Actually, go get yourself some of this amazing stuff. I'm telling you, you're going to love it. It's fantastic. That is presleep.co/beans. I'm going to be drinking my warm concoction later. Hopefully not snoring in my husband's ear. And share the show out with your friends. If you're listening on our audio platform, please leave a review and hit the thumbs up button. We will see you tomorrow.